incredible tonight. There's no horse that I really strongly fancy on the whole card. I think it's very, very competitive.
There's nothing there you could actually say, yeah, look, that's definitely got a chance of winning. Look, they all have chances of winning, but there's nothing you actually hang your hat on.
Absolutely. Even the small field in the fillies race is posing a bit of a problem for me. Anyway, this is the conditions for our opener. It's Maktoum Challenge round 2. It's off at 6:45, and this is for the purebred Arabians. Group 1, $55,000 on the table. 10 of them line up. Just a couple of non-runners later on the card. Doesn't affect this race. On the dirt for this, of course, Razik. A Group 1 winner here goes for Sylvester de Souza, Majid Al-Jahori, Elise, Dane O'Neill, Seyfried and Deeb, Richlaw, Adri Javri, Salem Al-Ketbi, and Noah Majanis goes for Royston French, Ali Al-Rahi. Gadir, Paul Hannigan, another one for Ali, who seems to have a bit of an influx of purebred Arabians. Then we have Massa AFF, Hilal Al-Alawi has taken over training. This one used to be in Qatar. Manaid Athbar, Wayne Smith, Eric Lamartinel, Hanouf, one of 4 mares in the race. Collateral, really interesting, this one taking a big step up in grade for Tiger Shea, Salem Al-Ketbi, who also trains number 10, Nymphia de Payon, the mount of Pat Dobbs. Very difficult to know where to go in this one for me. Razik's got the proven group form in the race, but he's just reappearing after a break of 4 days. Then Razik, who won round 3 of this series last year. He surprised me a little bit when he popped up in the President's Cup prep at Abu Dhabi on Sunday. Finished 4th, beaten 6 lengths behind Abu Alabayed, who is a progressive sort. He wouldn't be the most trustworthy, this Razik, and say he didn't manage to overcome Big and Rich here in round 1, but this trip will certainly suit him an awful lot better. There is Pat Dobbs, Richie Mullen, Sylvester de Souza. This is Elise, owned by Faisal Arapmani, who's done really well with his Arabians down the years. The last time we saw this fellow, it was in a sprint at Alain. That was over 1,000 metres. Sylvester de Souza rode him then. He was 3rd behind Najem Sahil. Rated 94 this evening. He's got a fair bit to find on official figures. Has also got to prove that this trip won't be an issue. Richlaw, one of the mares in here, she ran in round 2, was quite well beat on that occasion behind Big and Rich. Did miss the break, which probably didn't help her. She rated 109, still gives her £10 to find on Razik. I imagine 3 in here for Alasail. It's kind of been an easy decision for Tiger Shea.
Probably wasn't, but look, he's down there every morning riding work, so you get a feeling, and look, he's ridden most from the past, so it just makes that bit easier. You're not trying into the deep, trying to pick one out in form, so you know what's going well anyway.
Yeah, he doesn't often get it right, but it isn't easy. This is Ainhoa Majanis, who makes his debut for Ali Rashid Al-Rahi this evening. His only win came at Toulouse in France over the 2,000 metres. He actually beat the rear-opposing Elise by a head on that occasion. Rated 99, although the stable does well with the limited Arabians that they have. It'd be a bit of a surprise if this one could pop up with the win tonight for me. There's Eric Lamartinel. He's got Manaid Athbar here. Eric, of course, won round 1 of this with Big and Rich. This is Manaid Athbar. She's got the visor on for the first time. She's got 1 win from 9 starts so far. That came in France. Interestingly, over further than this, 2,250 metres. She's got to prove that she goes on dirt today. As a daughter of Kutubia, wouldn't have thought it would be too much of a problem. But say, got a little bit to prove. Was well beaten last time out at Abu Dhabi. Number 6 is Massa ASF. This one has travelled over from Qatar and joined the yard of Hilal Al-Alawi. He's a dual Group 2 winner in Doha, over 1,850 metres and 2,000 metres. Richie Mullen has actually won on this horse 3 times. I'm guessing, though, that Richie prefers the chances of Hanouf, or he'd probably be riding this one. But your fellow apprentice, George Buckle, first riding a Group 1 for him, I think.
First riding Group 1. Look, he seems to be getting on well with the Arabians this season. His first season over here. But
try again.
Obviously, Hilal has an awful lot of faith in him, and he's putting him up in this horse.
Oh, yeah. Certainly deserved of the opportunity, as Mark says, done really well. This is Hanouf. She's not completely out of it, I don't think. She's 2 from 5 at this distance. She stays very, very well. But she was behind Razik last time out. Again, that was in that President's Cup prep. She's untried on dirt. That is the concern, perhaps, for Youssef Al-Balushi, who's in really good form on the big race at Abu Dhabi with the Shared. Collateral, really interesting for me. 1 from 1 on the dirt. Hasn't been seen since March of last year. That was at Alain, and this is through no fault of his own. He was caught up in the prohibited substance issue that just kept the Alassale horses off the track for a short while. Went up £27 for that win in Alain, but won it very, very well, beating a Group 1 horse in Thakif. And Tiger Shea's gone for this one. I guess he's unproven. We don't know quite how good he is.
Well, he's quite a horse that's been improving from last year. All he did was improve last year, so look, if he stays improving, he'll be in with every chance.
And the yard are in great form. They really are, and their horses don't seem to need a run. They seem to go pretty well fresh, so you've got to be keen on him. This filly was very, very hard to beat last year, racing against fillies, and in Fear de Payon. She's actually 5 years old now, so she's officially a mare. She lost her way a little bit this season for all that she's been facing open company, and last time we saw her she was well held behind at Tharkif.
Racing Collateral, slow to move, missed it a length, and stable companion Rich Law also very slow to move, missed it a length. Nymphy to Pay On from the outside, one of the first away. Hanouf began well. Massey Ast is showing speed, and Rasik going forward along the rail as Nymphy to Pay On from the outside fence presses forward and crosses to the rail, running down to the judge the first time. And when they settled fully into stride, Nymphy to Pay On showed the way. Hanouf ran up to be second. Elise, 3/4 of a length away, third. Razik settles fourth on the inside, and Collateral works forward. Out 3 deep. Massey Asp is on the fence, and Rich Law is pushing up along the inside of Massey Asp now, followed by Ainhoa Majanis. Kadir is second last, and Maynard Afbar 2 lengths away at the tail of the field as they work past the 1400 metres mark. Nymphy to Pay On showing the way into the back straight, leading by a touch more than a length. Elise out wide has gone to second. Razik is third, 1 off the rail, and Rich Law is now fourth on the fence. Hanouf is out 5 wide, travelling down the back. 3/4 of a length away, Collateral, and then Massey Asp in the middle. 3 parts of a length to Ainhoa Majanis on the rail. A length to Gadir, and a length away is Maynard Afbar, who whips the field in as they continue along the back of the track, going past the 900 metres peg. Nymphy to Pay On, about to be joined by Razik, making his move a long way from home. Hanouf, out 3 wide, is going up to tackle, followed by Rich Law on the inside of Massey Af, then Collateral, followed by Ainhoa Majanis Gadir. A long break to Hanouf, and Manafbar had dropped out to be a long last of all. Razik leads them onto the bend, going past the 500 metres mark. Massey Af comes to the outside in second spot. Rich Law third, and a breakaway then is Hanouf and Collateral on the outside. Razik's under pressure, coming to the 300. Rich Law getting up on the rail, goes after Razik, and Massey Af is deeper on the track. Rich Law's taken the lead past the 200 metres mark, and Rich Law got away from the favourite. Rich Law driven clear by Andre de Vries, 2 lengths in front of Razik, then Massey Af, and Rich Law will be too good. Rich Law first, Razik second, Massey Af has run third, Hanouf has come again for fourth, and then Collateral, Gadir, followed by Ainhoa Majanis. A long break, Nymphy to Pay On. Then Elise and Maynard Afbar came in last of all. Rich Law, number 3, ridden by Andre de Vries, has won. Has followed the fence most of the way. Razik was always a little off the rail, and in the end, Rich Law has been too strong, despite being 10 points lower on the rating scale. Rich Law, the mare, ridden by Andre de Vries, has beaten Razik, and Massey Asp will run third as we wait for the numbers to go up. The time is 2:32.13. Nothing to compare it to. It's the first time Purebred Arabians have run the trip on the new dirt. 2:32.13. 3 Rich Law, Andre de Vries first. Number 1 Razik, Sylvester de Souza second. 6 Massey Asp, ridden by George Buckle, is third. Hanouf fourth, Collateral fifth, and Gadir has run 6th.
Well, a bit of a surprise in our curtain raiser then. Rich Law, look, the second string for Alassale, but Andre de Vries is doing well riding for this yard at the moment, and he causes a minor surprise here, beating the better fancied Razik, who was certainly not allowed to mess around under Sylvester de Sousa. Was very, very positive on him from the outset. And the third home, Massa, has run an absolute blinder there under young George Buckle, who did look for a stride or two as if he was going to win it. But certainly a bit of a surprise mark, really. Richlaw was the horse in here with the proven group form, but this mare has done it nicely.
Yeah, lovely run around, slow away, sat, I think it was last nearly, and just picked up when needed to. Lovely split down the rail and done it nicely.
Would have done wonders for her value, picking up a Group 1 win here, Richlaw. And she's certainly done it with a little bit in spare, you'd think. It's pricked pretty much straight after the line, and Jojo V pretty much in demand this year, as he should be, really. I think people are starting to notice his talents and how well he's adapted to riding on this dirt surface. Any excuses from Razik? As I said, Sylvester was very positive on him, and he just looks a bit, I don't know, one pace to me.
Look, if he's that bit one pace, you're often better off going forward on them rather than sort of sitting out the back and trying to get...
The Sunday may not have helped either. Obviously, Magic felt it was the right thing to do at the time, but it's quite nice in a way to have a new name on the Group 1 Roll of Honour here at Meydan, because one thing Alice Howe struggled for last year, yes, their trainer at the time, Ernst Ortel, lifted the championship. They did incredibly well for numbers. They struggled with group winners, didn't they, Mark? And this year, they've obviously managed to change all that.
Well, look, imagine it's such a good quality of horse last year. He'd more quality than quantity. Look, you might have a runner all week and pitch up in Abu Dhabi on the Sunday and could have 3 in the race. And the first 3 home, you saw it there last week, the first 3 home in the trial race. So, but obviously this year, Alice Hale seemed to have quality horses. Just touching there and sort of what Stephen is saying about Tig. Look, when a stable's good form, it's a good thing, but it can be a nightmare for stable jockeys if they're running well, anything will pitch up. So it's quite hard to make the decision, but look, hopefully be on the right one the next day.
Yeah, he has had quite a few difficult decisions to make over the past few weeks, Tig, but Adri's done well here. The 54th winner here in the UAE for the Flying Dutchman, and hopefully Steve will get a word with him in a moment or two and find out what he thinks of his rides later on the card.
I'm with winning jockey from our first race, Adre de Vries aboard Richlaw, and she looked at a nice ride all the way round.
Yeah, she travelled lovely. She always misses the kick a little bit, but she picked up nice, travelled through the race, got a nice gap on the inside, and she did it very easy, ear spricked.
Clearly the step up in trip helped her today compared to previously.
Oh, definitely. She ran a good race last time, and she needed the extra 2 furlong.
You're making a nice habit of picking up spare rides for this stable.
Yes, definitely. I mean, they have a great stable, a lot of good horses, and it's not always easy to get it right.
Talking of spare rides, you ride a couple for Godolphin later on. Good place in the Oaks. I mean, she's got the pedigree to act on it. She just needs to overcome that slow start.
That's it. She made a couple of mistakes last time, came out badly. Then she got a little bit keen. The extra trip should suit her. Looking forward to this. And you've got Emirates Flyer, of course, in the Maktoum Challenge R2. I'd give him a bit of a chance. Yeah, also the extra trip would help him. He acts on the dirt, so hopeful. And how are you finding riding on the dirt? Because obviously you're picking up plenty of extra rides. I mean, it's the horse who needs to handle the kickback. It's the same for all of the jockeys, but it's the horse who needs to handle the track. You don't feel as though you've had to change your style at all? A little bit, sure. You have to be up there and try to sit handy or out of the kickback, so sure you need to change it. And your season as a whole, I mean, the last 3 or 4 weeks, it's really taken off, hasn't it? Yeah, really good, yeah. Flying the last couple of weeks. Well, many congratulations aboard Richlaw, and hopefully more to come. Thanks a lot.
In America over the weekend, and we will bring you the best of those in Past the Post on Sunday. We'll move on to our Nova Stakes then, the second race on tonight's card from here at Meydan. It's a handicap for horses rated between 95 and 105. It's $110,000 US and a very open field of 16. Number 1 is Almago for Cam Hardy, Salem bin Gidea, Fountain of Youth, Christophe Soumillon, Mike de Kock, who's got 3 in here. Another one is Murhi, the mount of Johnny Garudis. Noah ran better than the form figures suggest last time at Abu Dhabi. Ninjago was the favourite when I checked earlier on the international market. Richard Hughes and Richard Hannon. Kernoff goes for Shane Foley and Mick Holford. Line of Reason, Paul Moran and Paul Midgley. Over the Ocean for Niels Peterson. Master of War, Louis Stewart on board for Truba Salvaratna. Mishore Joe, James Dorr rides. My Catch, interesting one for Doug Watson and Pat Dobbs. Sholan, Sheen Murphy, another one for Druba. Dark Emerald, the Mount of Richie Mullen. Ertijal, Paul Hannigan, and that leaves Dane O'Neill on Whistle Stop, Kieran O'Neill on Ajad. There's Ali Rashid Arahi, got Nawa in here. He's certainly no forlorn hope for me. I do think he's probably better over 1,400 metres though. Here's a look at Almago. He's got the blinkers on for the first time. Been well beaten on both of his starts here, including on the dirt last time. We'll probably appreciate this return to dirt. And third outing has been a bit of an angle for these Salem bin Gidea runners. Interesting to see how he gets on, although he's not among the favourites. Fountain Youth is interesting, really well bred individual. Ran just last week over 1,000 metres behind R2. Missed the break on that occasion, and trainer Mike Ducott reported he needed the break more than I thought. Needed the run, sorry, more than I thought. But he's still short of his best. So perhaps a watching brief again advised for Fountain of Youth. Murray, perhaps a little bit disappointing in all of his starts here so far, but the team feel he's best on the turf and they're expecting him to run well this evening. That's what Mike said on his website, so don't rule him out completely. He's 2 from 8 over this trip. This is Nawa. I thought he ran a good race, although the form figures say 9th of 14, but he ran better than that at Abu Dhabi just on Sunday. He's probably got a bit to find. This is Ninjago, good to be the first winner here at Meydan for Richard Hughes. For Richard Hannon. Richard Hughes has had 7 of them. He's been off since the Stewards Cup, which took place in August of last year. Nearly won that race. He's certainly a talented horse, but whether or not he needs this run is the issue. This is Kernoff, Mark. I don't know a great deal about this horse. Have you spoken to Shane Foley about him at all?
I've spoken to Shane, yeah. Look, he got £10 for his last run in them, Doc, so it's kind of hard just to know where he is in regards to his rating. So, look, obviously after tonight to know an awful lot more about him.
Yeah, Mick Halford's team coming along quietly this year in Dubai. This is Line of Reason. I quite like his chances. He was on arguably the wrong side of the track last time, and he was well beaten. He was also quite keen early on in the race. When you rode him, why am I talking about him?
Yeah, he look, his first run out here, quite fresh now. Pinged the gate. I half wanted to miss it a bit on him, just get a bit of cover, because his tendency to do too much early on. Drawn the wrong side, drawn one, pinged the gates, was keen, just a bit of freshness. So look, the freshness should be knocked off in there today, and obviously more of a chance at not being as fresh.
Yeah, he's got a big chance. Paul Mulrennan knows him well from the UK, which is why he's teaming up again. This is Master of War, Louis Stewart riding with presumably Sheen Murphy preferring Sholan. He's a nice horse. It's questionable to what his best trip is, but he has won twice over this distance. He's also acquitted himself well on the dirt in his last 2 runs here. Again, not a forlorn hope in a race where nothing can be ruled out, but possibly not a positive that Sheen has elected to ride Sholan. This is Mishaw Joe, been here and done it all before. He's never won over 1,200 metres, this horse, which just puts me off him slightly. But same owners you rode for last week, Taylor's Bloodstock. I understand the owners here.
Yeah, look, I think this trip will actually suit that horse a bit better. He just seems to take a bit of niggling early on, so a bit more of a chance there today rather than the last trip last week.
I think this one's got a big each way chance, Mike Catch. He's been ready to run for a while, I think, just hasn't been able to get into a couple of races. But he's back from the Czech Republic where he ran over the summer, finished last, but he's better than he showed then. This horse, Sholan, not one of my favourites. I think he's a bit of a rogue. What do you think?
He had a good run here behind Beat Baby the last day. He's been consistent all year. I think it's his first run back in grass for a while now. It's just interesting to see in a straight line how he handles it.
And this is Dark Emerald, who we heard about earlier on from trainer Brendan Powell. Richie's picked up a nice spare ride here.
Yeah, he ran quite well here over a mile the last day. I think it was actually your horse, Belgian Bill, that beat him. But no, look, drop and trip. It'd be interesting to see how he handles it.
Yeah, he last ran over 1,200 metres in the Coventry Stakes in June of 2012. This is Ertijal, who I think will probably appreciate being back on the turf. Wasn't disgraced behind Muanid last time over 1,400 metres. He has won over this trip. Paul Hannigan seemingly elected to ride him over Whistle Stop. There is Whistle Stop, going to post a little bit quicker than Dane might like, do you think?
Yeah, he looks to be a bit keen there. Obviously, he hasn't ran since May, so a bit of freshness probably kicking in. But he should be okay now.
Certainly an interesting one. Never run over this trip, Whistle Stop. Definitely, I think this can be regarded as a pipe opener. Ajad, saw him in our track work clip earlier on. He was in the same race you were in last week, yeah, and I think he's not out of it today.
He's not out of it. Look, he ran well there during the summer in Doncaster. Looking off at these horses that come from Europe, may take 1 or 2 runs to hit their full form, but he seems to be running quite well.
Okay, let's go to Steve in the parade ring with some hopeful connections.
And with Paul Midgley, he's got 2 runners in our next race, Line of Reason, Monsieur Joe. Monsieur Joe probably knows his way around here better than most, doesn't he?
Yeah, he loves it out here, he does, and just proper gentleman and a proper professional, and he's probably not quite good enough to win out here now, to be fair. I hope I'm proved wrong, I do, but he's in excellent form, and 6 furlongs, he's got to get the trip. He looks as if he could get it. Whether he actually does or not, we'll see in a few minutes.
He actually shaped better than Line of Reason last week, but Line of Reason better at this trip?
Yeah, possibly. Line of Reason did exactly the same his first run back last year. Just run too fresh and too keen, and so hopefully he'll run a lot better tonight.
The draw was probably against him last week, and he's better to come through horses where he is today, isn't he?
Definitely, he's got a lot better draw tonight, and he needs cover. He's an older horse, you know. So,
could you pick out the 2? Which one you prefer?
Line of Reason's a better horse.
Well, we wish you all the best, Paul.
Right, thank you.
Thanks a lot, Paul.
Yeah, we wish him the best of luck. There's one of Mike de Kock's horses. The crowd applauding because Whistle Stop has done a bit of he has done a circuit of the turf track under Dane O'Neill. We saw him going quite keenly to post. That was an understatement, really, Mark. He's sort of taken charge of poor old Dane there, and it's probably not very nice if you're on board and that happens. You can see Ninjago finishing second in the Stewards' Cup behind Intrinsic of Mali Albastes. Ninjago came from the back on this occasion. This was a good run. I mean, the Stewards' Cup, as handicaps go, is a pretty strong one, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it can often be a lottery to pick the winner. Actually, Mali Albastes' horse won it that day. Look, obviously a great run, tough race to win, but hopefully if you can reproduce that form, you should be thereabouts.
Yeah, I looked through his form, and that suggested he went quite well fresh, but apparently connections have said he will need the run this evening, Ninjago, so that's something to bear in mind if you're supporting him. See if we can have a look at Monsieur Joe and Ajad behind R2 last week. You ran in this race. Ajad on this side, it wasn't a bad run from him, and the same for Monsieur Joe.
Yeah, Mr. Joe, he just took a bit of niggling early on, and he seems to be finding a bit there, so that was over 5, over 6. You'd be hoping he'd suit him that bit better.
Yeah, as you say, he's getting a bit older now, and maybe the extra distance will certainly suit him. That's Harry just saying on the PA that Ninjago is the international favourite. That is a big crowd of owners, seemingly with Niels Peterson, I think. Have a look at the course and distance, which is pretty straightforward, really, for this. Straight, basically. There we go. Nova Stakes. I mean, I haven't changed my opinion on this race, even though I've looked at it many times. I've still got no idea what's going to win it. Ninjago was my first selection, so I guess I'll stick with him. Are you going with your mount from last week? What do you think?
Yeah, I think he'll be better off this week. I think if Ninjago is on form, he should be thereabouts as well.
Okay, so Line of Reason for Mark, and there he is going forward for Paul Moran and Paul Midgley. Certainly going to be a fast and furious affair, this. It'll be interesting to see if we expect if the runners will come over towards this stand side, or indeed if those low draws over there will prove to be a big disadvantage. There's our Margot going forward, and also over the ocean. Now let's go up to Terry then for the call for race number 2.
Here's Kurnoff coming up to find his place. Whistle stop the late withdrawal as the international favourite Ninjago is about to be loaded away into gate number 13. Meanwhile, Master of War goes into 7. And Etagel comes up towards 5. Etagel is in. Ninjago a little reluctant. Stalls handlers group. Push, shove, and in goes Ninjago. Fountain of Youth about to come up. He was adjudged to best turned out in the parade ring. So he goes in, and there's one left. Noir, who's drawn on the outside of the field of 16. 1,200 metres. They're ready. Racing, Dark Emerald and Sholan on the inside, two of the first away. Monsieur Joe came out quickly. My Catch began well. Etagel and El Mago showing pace shortly after the break. Ajard and Kurnoff with Murhi dropping in behind those. Over the ocean down the grandstand side, followed by Fountain of Youth, Nor War. Ninjago drops in behind that group, and Line of Reason is last in that group as they clump up, coming towards the outside rail, reaching the halfway mark with the first quarter left behind in 24.1. Etagel led from Nor War on the grandstand side. Master of War going forward. My Cat, Sholan, Monsieur Joe. Dark Emerald under pressure. Fountain of Youth and a Line of Reason coming down the grandstand side. Nor War had raced up at the 350, joined Etagel. Master of War on the far side from Sholan. Dark Emerald running on. Line of Reason down the grandstand side. Master of War got to the front from Sholan. Dark Emerald coming at them. Sholan, Master of War. Dark Emerald on the inside. Dark Emerald going home the better. Strength will tell, and Dark Emerald beats the stable companions. Sholan and Master of War. Then Etagel, Fountain of Youth, My Catch, Nor War. Line of Reason, Murhi, Kurnoff. Then Ajard over the ocean, Monsieur Joe, El Mago, and Ninjago, the favourite, has pulled up last of all, quickly over the line. Dark Emerald, number 13, back from a mile, but that in the end has what's won him the race. His power at the finish, and putting a visor back on for the first time in a long time. Some happy connections. And why not? 66,000. Just jumped into the bank. He was unlucky when beaten into second spot here, making his debut in the Emirates a few weeks ago. But Richard Mullen has done it well tonight. There was no bad luck involved, and he's clocked 110.28. 110.28. As we wait for the numbers to go up, 13 Dark Emerald, Richard Mullen first. Number 12, Sholan. Ocean Murphy has run second. Number 9, Master of War. Louis Stewart is third. Etagel on the pace for a long way, fourth. Fountain of Youth, fifth. And Line of Reason, number 7, has run sixth. 13, 12, 9, 14, 2 and 7 in 110.28 after the Nova Stakes, race 2.
Oh, great scenes here in the parade ring at Meydan. That's what it's all about. And well done, Richie Mullen. We thought it was a disadvantage being on that side of the track, but he's proved otherwise. And a bit of heartbreak for Drupa Salvaratnam, who saddled second and third here. But after Dark Emerald's luckless run last time, you certainly couldn't begrudge him this win. And Mark, it always sort of looked as if he was going to get there, really, didn't it? For all that the Drupa pair have put in a very good effort.
It did, yeah. Look, Dark Emerald, he probably needed it every yard of the race, especially when over mile last. Voice has obviously helped him, giving that bit of an edge. But look, in the end, he's done it well. Great run from the second, third horse also. Showed and equally as consistent. And Master War looking as though he just prefers a bit of turf compared to the sand.
Yeah, certainly. He's been a model of consistency really this year, though. Master of War certainly deserves to pick up another win sooner rather than later. But Dark Emerald only had not that much racing really, 27 now. That's his 6th victory, and as I said, his first run over this trip since the Coventry Stakes back in 2012 when he finished behind Dawn Approach. So this wasn't plan A. So we know that Brendan Power wanted to get him into the mile race. Quite a few unlucky horses that wanted to get in that later and haven't managed to. But certainly another big win for that man there, Richie Mullen. He's doing well on these outside rides, isn't he? As well, of course, as ones for the boss.
Yeah, he's having a great carnival this year. He's been quite looking at the outside rides. I think Stephen is his agent, so Stephen's in for a bit of a paycheck there after that.
Yeah, exactly. He's done well to get him on this horse. There would have been plenty of people who wanted to ride him, I'm sure, after that good run last time out. And he was drawn in two, so either he's a lot better than the rest of them, or perhaps there isn't so much of a bias tonight.
Look, it all depends on the horse. When you are drawn two, there's not much you can do but just accept it and stay in that far side. You could actually use up too much horse. And mind you, unless they're travelling with you quite well, it's hard to tack over, and that horse looks though it need a bit of niggling. Obviously, like I said, the Vyers have helped to give that edge over 6. But look, in the end, he's plugged on well.
Yeah, he's perhaps taken off his feet early on a little bit. We'll have a look at the full race in a moment. Say great runs from Showland and Master of War in behind Ertijal. Also, certainly his best run so far in the UAE. He's finished 4th there, Fountain of Youth, and your horse Line of Reason finished 6th there. So another good run from him. He's picked up another check.
Yeah, look, it suited him there today. He got that bit of cover, and Paul got him relaxed and everything, and he plugged on well to the line. So hopefully he'll improve again the next day.
Delighted for that man there, Brendan Powell. He was a terrific guest for us on the winning line a few weeks ago. This is the first time he's had runners here in Dubai, and he's really embraced the experience. He's been tweeting every day about his stay here at the Meydan Hotel. And these three have got locked into quite a battle, haven't they? Which, as we said, Richie always looked like he was on top.
Yeah, look, I think Richie's always going to stay the trip. It's just a question of was he going to get there in time, and he did in the end. Great run from the 2nd and 3rd. Like I said, Master War just seems like a bit of turf compared to the sand.
Ertijal there in the centre. So a fine run from him. He's almost looked like a sprinter on this evidence, and for that he was campaigned over further than that in the UK. He might be worth another shot in this sort of race if they can find one for him. Cameron now just locks in on the 3, and Master of War was up there for an awful long time here, and it comes out of the race, I think, with great credit. So there's plenty in here to take out of it. A few disappointments certainly. Ninjago, they said he'd need the run. That may well have been the case. Was pushed along quite early by Richard Hughes towards the back of the field. But Dark Emerald, just a 5-year-old. Hopefully it will go up enough pounds for this that they won't have so much trouble getting into a race in the future. I know Brendan said there's an option for him next week. Obviously a horse who takes his racing reasonably well. And certainly some good respite for them after that. So a very luckless run a couple of weeks ago. And we'll try and speak to the winning connections in a moment. Great to see people get so excited. There we are. Don't know what to do they? To hug or watch the horse or what? Absolutely fantastic. It's not cheap to keep horses in training, and he'll shortly be going up to receive his trophy. There he is. I imagine that is Ken Rattigan. I don't actually know what he looks like, so I'm pretty sure he didn't make it over the last time the horse ran. So perhaps he's the lucky charm. He'd have to come out for every future run in that case. And certainly makes my evening to see people get so delighted. That's why people pay the money they do to buy and own racehorses. And very well done to them. Beautiful trophy for their trip. It's fast approaching, and it is our classic on the card. The UAE 1,000 guineas, sponsored by Nova, an IPIC engineering company, IPIC empowered company, sorry. 1,600 metres, as one would expect for a guineas. It's listed, there's 250,000 dirhams and just 6 of them in it, which means they just have to run round. And even the last home will pick up a cheque of $5,000. Ad Idem goes to Paul Hannigan, Mike de Kock. Yodeling, attracting a lot of interest for William Buick, Charlie Appleby. Runner-up, Pat Dobbs, George Baker, Charisal, Dane O'Neill, Mike de Kock. Local time, James Doyle, Saeed bin Saror, who also trains Good Place, the mount of Adre Debris. This race first run in 2001, and Saeed bin Saror has won 8 of them. Mike de Kock has won it as well, and this is Al Idem, who he rates as his best runner on the night. He's got 14 in total, so that was good enough for me, and I really like her. I thought she was tremendously game in defeat last time. Behind local time, he just came and mugged her by a short head on the line. Godolphin well represented here. They've won 10 of the 14 runnings of this race so far. This filly has been very well placed by George Baker, fully aware that these races often come up light. As I said, she only has to finish 6th to pick up $5,000. She won't. I think she'll finish higher up the pecking order than that. She was 3rd in the prep race for this over 1,400 metres last time. That was a good effort. And I think 33 to 1 is a little bit rude about her chance this evening. Let's have a look at Sharasau, who makes a relatively quick reappearance, having run on the turf just last week. She hung a bit on that occasion, was quite well beaten behind Ostad. I'm sure she'll come on a lot for that run, but I can't fancy her on that effort. She also tries dirt for the first time this evening. There's a look at the Sheikh Hamdan contingent then. Sharasau and Idam going for His Highness. This is local time, Mark. She won the prep for this last time well enough under James Doyle. She only got up by a short head, but you think she'd improve for that?
Yeah, look, there wasn't much between the two of them. It could be a question of which one has come out the run the best, and which has done that bit more improving. But it looks to be between those two. But they're actually talking about this yodeling. Look, she hasn't ran over here, but if she hadn't to dirt, I reckon she'd be in with a good show.
She's definitely the talking horse this evening. Good place. We heard about this one earlier from Adre De Vries. She's won over this trip. She's 1 from 2 over it. That success came at Ascot. She was quite well held last time, though, behind local time. I struggled to see her reversing the form here. But Saeed bin Sroor, very much the man to follow in this race. And this is yodeling. She's a very big filly. There's a lot to like on appearance, isn't there?
She's a smashing looking filly. She's obviously should be race ready, having not ran in the trial. They obviously think she's thereabouts. But look, if she hands the surface, they reckon she'll go close.
Yeah, she deliberately didn't run in the trial. Charlie Appleby tells us they felt that 1,400 metre trip would be far too short for her, and I think it's very taking that this race was named as her target as early as September, when she won the first of 2 races at Kempton. She's only beaten 5 horses in her starts so far, yodeling, but she's beautifully bred, being by Medaglia d'Oro out of a mare called Echoes in Eternity, who was a Group 1 winner, a Group 2 winner herself, and a half-sister to Nathaniel and Playful Act. So yodeling certainly bred for great things, as we have a look at 3 of the Dali Flying Start representatives, and a look at the moon as well. The sun has set well and truly here at Meydan, and we've still got plenty of racing to go as Saeed bin Sroor legs up James Doyle on local time. I don't know that she really handled the dirt last time, and she won in spite of it. And yodeling around of William Buick. Just 1 winner at the carnival so far for William. That came on safety check, but he has had not all that many opportunities, having been suspended for a couple of starts. But I'm going to stick with this filly, Al Idem. A trainer, Mike, won this race in 2011 with Mabuba, who, if I remember rightly, was also beaten in the trial. There's a look at runner for George Baker. I mean, he's been smart bringing over this filly, hasn't he? Because, you know, she can run well here and pick up a massive check, and she's no forlorn hope either.
Exactly. Look, I don't actually know too much about the horse, but obviously a great bit of placement is in. Just have to run round and you pick up a check. Pays for an awful lot of bills back home.
I gather Satish Seemar doesn't have any 3-year-old fillies that might have been suitable for this year?
No, not this year. Hopefully next year.
Yeah, they're very they always run up very light, these fillies races. It's perhaps not an ideal time of year. If you've got a filly you think is capable of classic glory in Europe, you're perhaps not going to risk them here, but really for the amount of money on offer and the black type, it's worth having a go. As we look from our drone camera at the 1,600 metre start. And I mean, is this, I don't imagine it poses too much of a problem, sort of starting in the chute as we do for these mile races?
Not so much, no. Look, if you're drawn on the inside, you kind of have to be away handy because they kind of tack over and the bend kind of comes out to meet you a little bit, but it's no real inconvenience at all.
No, and here's a really great bird's eye look at the trip that these fillies will be racing over in a few moments' time. 3 of them have won over this 1,600 metres. Adi Idem does have to prove to some extent that she will handle it, but she certainly wasn't going away last time. She just has to give away weight to the rest of the field here because she is a Southern Hemisphere bred Adidem. That's certainly not ideal. But so Mike seems to be quite keen on her, speaking on his website earlier on this week. I mean, Mark, it isn't great, is it, for these fillies having to give away weight to their rivals, but it is to do with the fact that they're 6 months older, so in theory stronger.
They're 6 months older, but the main thing is, though, you have to remember, they're 2-year-olds when they come out here. So especially with fillies, you can actually take that bit more of a toll travelling halfway around the world and adjusting to the climate. So it can be quite tough for them. So when you see a filly actually running well, it's a bit of a relief that they've handled the travelling well.
Yeah, is it perhaps harder to tell with just how much it's taken out of them compared with the colts and the geldings?
Well, a great judge is actually weighing them. Weigh them before they leave and weigh them once they get off the plane, and it'll tell you how much weight they've lost, as in how well they've handled it. But not like trying to swear by weighing them. Even the older horses before they travel, and even every day, just checking the weight, see how they're handling the race and their training.
We don't publish weights here in the UAE. Or in the UK. It is done over in Hong Kong, and I think in Singapore as well. Gives people a good guide if you know what weight a horse has run off, things like that, and then it can certainly help. But say it would be quite a logistical task to arrange for somebody. But let's see if we can perhaps go to Steve, who's in the Pradering, hopefully getting the inside track on one of these fillies. We'll just
that will be runner, and the small field of just 6 will be ready to go. Shane Ryan down at the button. Set. Racing in the Fillies Classic and yodeling a little slow to go, and good place again tonight. Didn't come out all that quickly. Adidem began fast and went looking for the lead. Local time wide on the outside of Characel and Runner. 2 lengths away is Yodeling at a break of 1.5 lengths to Good Place, who drops out to the tail of the field as they link with the course proper and go past the 1,300 metres mark. Adidem wants more rain. Leads by 3 parts of a length. Local time second, travelling deep on the outside of Characel. Runner, 3/4 of a length away, 4th. Good Place goes up on the rail, and Yodeling 3/4 of a length away, last in the field of 6, but only 3 lengths off the lead. First 400 metres in a fairly leisurely 25.5, and the Guineas field goes past the 800 metres mark with Adidem ahead in front. Local time eyeballs that filly. A length away is Characel. Yodeling's out 4 wide, then Runner, and Good Place on the fence is relegated to last as they're on the swing. 550 metres out. Local time away from the rail. Adidem on the fence. Characel 3rd. Yodeling coming even deeper on the track, and then Good Place and Runner as Local Time went for home and stole a march at the 300 metres peg, and Local Time has raced 3 lengths in front of Good Place, Characel. Yodeling's not doing enough, but Local Time is. At the 250, Local Time has the Guinea safely sewn up. She's 3 lengths in front of Good Place and then Characel, and Local Time down to the line, much too good. Local Time first, Good Place second, Characel 3rd. Yodeling didn't live up to the rap. Then a break to Runner, and Adidem, after leading, came in last of all. The trial form has stood up. Local Time gets the double. Written by James Doyle. Was eyeballing Adidem a long way out. Would pay to that filly coming around the turn. Stole a march and had the 1,000 guineas won at the top of the straight. Good Place has battled on to run second. Characel 3rd. Yodeling 4th. Runner 5th. And Adidem in the end has come in last of the 6 as the numbers go up officially. 5 Local Time. James Doyle first. 6 Good Place. Andre de Vries second. 4 Characel. Dane O'Neill 3rd. 2 Yodeling was 4th. 3 Runner was 5th. The number 1 Adidem has run 6th, and they ran 139.69. 139.69 is 2 2/10 outside of the 1600 metres dirt record. Simply too good. It's the story of the race. Yodeling didn't begin all that well and raced wide, but there was no real pickup when she was asked at the top of the home straight. Good place battled away, but local time just far too professional. Her action would indicate that perhaps she's not 100% happy on the dirt, but no matter, she was 85% better than the rest of them. 3 1/4 lengths, a length and a half, 3 1/4. 3 1/4, a length and a half, and 3 1/4.
Well, that's the 7th win of the carnival for James Doyle, and not many will have come easier than that. He took no chances on local time, and she has certainly confirmed her superiority over this batch of 3-year-old fillies, winning by 3 1/4 lengths from Good Place, who's run a much better race than she did in the trial, and Sherastar, who's hung again in towards the inside but has come home best of the Mike de Kock pair, finishing third. But Mark, this looked very straightforward. So last time I wasn't quite sure that she handled it, but she's proved she did on this occasion.
Yeah, it looks very straightforward there today. Looks to have actually improved from the last day. Looked like that a little bit more comfortable on the surface, and she went clear the others and stayed plugging away, but quite impressive. Another horse is impressive actually is the second horse. Faced the kick back, got lovely split down the rail and stuck at it. Be interesting to see how that comes out of the race now.
Yeah, much better run, as you say, from Good Place. It was quite well held last time in the trial, but she's appreciated the step up to a mile, as has this filly, who was the only horse in here with proven group class over this sort of distance. She was a good Group 3 winner at Newmarket last year, and she certainly looks a lot more comfortable on this surface last time, this daughter of Invincible Spirit. And that takes Godolphin's tally in this UAE 1,000 guineas to 11 from 15 runnings, and Saeed bin Sraw's personal record to 9. So certainly they are very much the team to be on the right side of here, and she's done this very convincingly. Good Place, Mark says, a good run from her. Disappointments definitely added down, dropped away very tamely. Really sort of the distress signals went up on the bend, and that was that from her. Sherazelle has certainly run better than she did on the turf last time. And Yodeling, Mark, you were keen on her. Any obvious excuses? She was a bit slowly away.
Yeah, look, she's a big filly. Obviously after travelling half around the world, like I said, it can take that bit out of him, but I think it's just as she comes out of the race and find out what the story is with her. But looking forward to see her the next day anyway.
Yeah, this is not a plethora of options for these fillies, really. It's the UAE Oaks, or you face the Colts in the Meydan Classic, depending on what your trip requirements are. But a pleasing win there for Team Godolphin, and it would be a brave person to wager against Saeed and James, picking up the leading jockey and trainer titles at the carnival, as Saeed pretty much does every year. But James, you know, he's a new face on the Godolphin roster, really, isn't he, officially, and done incredibly well. He's a very safe pair of hands.
James, he's a brilliant rider. It's just amazing to see, like, as you said before, a couple of years ago it just wasn't working out for him, and when Cityscape came along and he switched to Rubus Alvaratnam, it just everything clicked, and you see where he is there today. So it just shows in this game anything could happen.
Hard work and a good attitude, I think, are the two things that have certainly helped James. He's also a great talker, as hopefully he'll prove in a moment or two. We'll see if Steve can get an interview with him and find out exactly how the UAE 1,000 guineas was from his perspective. He certainly made sure this filly was well up there with the leaders, and the further she's gone, the better she's gone. This race was won last year by Itimal, different sort of filly, really. She came here with Group 1 form, arguably better form than local time, went home and ran third in a Guineas at Newmarket. I can't predict any great glories at this stage for local time, but she's certainly improving.
Well, look, she's improved from her last run. She keeps improving like that. Who knows where she could end up, but it's always a good sign when they improve from the first round.
And I imagine she'll go for the UAE Oaks now. She's going to have to obviously step up another couple of furlongs there. It shouldn't be too much of a problem, you wouldn't think?
She went away from the others and she seemed to stay the trip quite well, and like I said, if she improves again, she should handle the trip quite well.
Yeah, and there was nothing really running on from behind that you'd sort of fancy to reverse that form in the Oaks, if indeed that's where they go, as I'm sure it will be. Let's have another look at the closing stages. I mean, by now, really, he's got the race won. But interesting, you note the run of good place there in the white cap in second. She's produced a nice effort there.
Yeah, look, it's actually quite a tight gap looking back at it, but she went through the gap quite well, and she seems to make a tough face to kick back and plugged away to finish second. But obviously it'd be interesting to see how she turns up the next day.
Yeah, so perhaps one to take out of the race then. Good place. But finishing pretty much clean is Local Time, having just tracked sort of the heels of the leaders and being quite wide early on in the race. Recovered a fair bit more ground than her rival, you'd have thought. So one despite that. Again, offering hope for her next time out when she contests the next leg of this Fillies Classic Series. And then there's nowhere really for them to go apart from the UAE Derby and face the Colts on World Cup night. Finn dominate these Fillies races here really at Meydan. And we got a lot of very well bred fillies, and let's hope that Local Time can go on and complete the Oaks double and then go and really make her presence felt back at home in Europe. There is Saeed bin Suroor. Fantastic record he enjoys in this race. Itimal, of course, winning it for him as well just last year. And James Doyle, a first win in this race for him. He's shortly going up to receive his trophy as well. He's got some nice rides later on in the card, according, of course, on African Story in the big one. First time he'll have ridden the Dubai World Cup winner. And hopefully we can hear from James very shortly after everybody poses for the photo. And another big win here in a classic for Godolphin, and we've got plenty of racing still to come. Don't forget the big one, the trial for the Dubai World Cup, is coming up later on. Before all that though, let's hear from winning jockey James Doyle.
Yeah, James Doyle very happy after the success of Local Time. She seemed far more impressive tonight.
Yeah, I think I said afterwards, after her last run, that the extra furlong today would definitely suit her, and it's worked out nicely today. She's got a lot of speed and she stays well, so that run definitely brought her forward.
A few people maybe thought she was climbing a bit in her action last time. Did she seem far more efficient on the surface tonight?
Exactly the same. I felt she loved it. I know a few people said she looked a bit wayward on it, but I didn't think, to me, of the ones I've ridden, she's definitely likes it by far the best of all the ones I've ridden.
The natural progression, is for the UAE Oaks. Do you think she'll stay a lot further than this?
She's very, she has got a lot of speed. She wasn't stopping there today, and I think she's very relaxed, and that's the main thing. I rode her a bit more forward today than ideal because, they were holding their positions down on the inside, and I was covering a bit more ground than ideal early on, so I was keen to get across and save a bit of ground, but I think there's every chance she'll get a bit further, yeah.
Some excellent rides coming up. Arzima, he's a bit of a favourite around here, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got solid form around here, seems to love it. Love the turf track here, and it's a very open race, but he's got a good run in the Goodwood Cup, and he looks to be training well. He might just need the run a touch, but he's fit enough to do himself justice tonight.
And of course, all eyes will be on African Story, last year's World Cup winner. Have you managed to sit on him much at home?
I've sat on him a couple of times, and I've been really pleased with him. He's quite a laid-back character at home, so I'm sure he'll come alive on the track. Obviously, the big unknown is the dirt, which we're unsure of. Obviously, we train on Tapita at El Quoz, so we haven't had an idea for that. But Pivotal, I think, has had a couple of winners, One Man Band and Faulkner, I think, so that's encouraging to see anyway. So no, they're in good nick. Side's got them in fantastic fettle at the minute, and the whole team at home. We've got a great team, and they're all doing a great job.
Well done on Local Time, and good prospects of a couple more maybe.
Hopefully.
You are enjoying it as well. The Meydan Classic Trial is upon us, and we're over 1,400 metres for this on the turf. It's a conditions race for 3-year-olds only, but without Horatio Bloom, who was a late non-runner, has gone lame. This race won for the last 2 years by David Marnane. Sadly doesn't have a runner this evening. Furry's Waltz is one of a few in here for Mike de Kock. Christophe Soumillon on board this one. Got a bit of a break to overcome, but he's 3 from 3. Mastermind goes to Paul Hannigan. Another one for Mike, Burnt Sugar, and so we don't have Horatio Bloom. Initial, Sylvester de Souza, Sabra Al-Maheri. Intensa, Ahmed bin Hamash, Mikhail Barcelona, Pasticchio, Richard Mullen and Satish Seemar. Quarterback, Pat Dobbs, Rune Horgan. His first runner of the campaign. Sure We Can. Quite a big price, I think. This one, Royston French, Mark Johnston, Toscanelli, Wayne Smith and Mike de Kock. Volatile, Dane O'Neill for Jessica Long. West Horton, Adro de Vries, Ahmed bin Hamash. Wild Citizen for Anders Greyberg, Niels Peterson, Witchwood Warrior, Shane Foley, Mick Holford, Zephyrus, William Buick, Charlie Appleby, and the unraced one is Ramosh, Oscar Abina and Rashid Borsley. Never afraid to try anything. This is pretty difficult to try and sort out, this race, in my opinion. My first thought was to go for this fellow, Forrest Waltz. He's 3 from 3 over in South Africa, has been campaigned at a good level. The form has worked out particularly well for some of the races he's run, but Mike stresses on his website this horse will be better for a race behind him, and he has to give away weight to all of his rivals, barring Mastermind. But nevertheless, I like his chances here for Christoph, who incidentally didn't know his rise when I interviewed him, so I've got no inside information from Christoph here, unfortunately. Mastermind has had a run. He ran a great race behind Canaf last time out over the 1200 metres. That race should have put him spot on, and Connections are confident that he will see out this extra distance today. He should be bang there. This is Burnt Sugar having his first run for new owners tonight, China Horse Club, previously owned by T.O.R. King. And this horse is a half-brother to Brown Sugar, who won the same race as him, the Serenia Stakes at Kempton. He's never won on the turf, though, but he is rated £8 clear here, and that should be good enough to really for him to win it if we're going to go on the official ratings. Let's have a look at number 5. This is Initial, the mount of Sylvester de Souza, for his boss, Masaba Al-Maheri. You might appreciate being back on the turf, this horse. That was where he won his one race at Leopardstown, but he's got a fair bit to do, being only rated 82. Bin Harmash has got a couple in here that he owns as well as trains. Intensa is one of them, gelding already at the age of 3. Used to be with Brendan Duke over in Europe. He's going to be nearer last than first, you would think, although it does have a win at Goran Park and also at the Curragh to his name, but rated only 74. Pasticcio, Mark, over to you. This one we saw last time on the dirt.
Yeah, he's with James Tate in England. Did he win first time out? Horse in Marco Botti's a second. Nice horse that was second to him, actually. But he just seems to have lost his way a bit after that, so we'd be hoping for a bit of improvement there today.
Should probably be fit of that run last time. Looks as if Rune Horgan's got a bit of an issue with a tongue tie or something there with quarterback, but let's have a look at number 9, Sure We Can. I think this one's got a bit of a chance here. Only one from 7. That was a 1200 metre Hamilton maiden. It's a front running sort. Last time we saw him, he finished half a length behind Charming Thought, who has subsequently gone on and won a Group 1. So the form looks pretty strong. Been a while since Mark Johnston had a winner here, but he is here this evening, and let's hope he can rectify that. Toscanelli, Mark, I'm sure you'll remember from over in Ireland. Last seen finishing 5th in the National Stakes behind Glen Eagles.
Yeah, Glen Eagles went on to, he's actually disqualified on Prix de l'Arc today, but obviously, look, it's a good run. I can't tell you much about the horse himself, but first start for Mighty Cock, so be interested to see how he handles surface and everything.
Yeah, kept very good company in Ireland, Toscanelli, but Mike's saying they're yet to really show him anything like that sort of form here. Wild Citizen is interesting. He was well beaten last time when he ran in the Colts 2000 Guineas trial, but he got shuffled back on that occasion. I think he's certainly better than he showed then. Hopefully a return to the turf will suit him. He's 1 from 1 on turf. Don't rule him out at a big price of 25 to 1. This is Witchwood Warrior. Mick Calford trains this one. Do you know much about this one? A winner at Dundalk last time.
I don't know much about him, but I think Shane Foley might have after quietly confident. Shame about the draw. They're drawn out in the car park, so be interested to see how they run, but I think they fancy me a bit.
Zephyrus returns to the turf, having been well held behind Mubsahidge last time out. That was in the Guineas trial. Certainly going to suit him. He picked up a Newmarket maiden over this trip. That was back in July. I think we'll see a better run from him on this occasion, but another one who hasn't been helped by the draw. Ramosh has her first start this evening. She's a half sister to Norse Dancer, who's a prolific winner, and also a horse who's won over jumps. In fact, her pedigree is for hurdles and fences. Be a bit of a shock if those orange colours cross the line first, won't it?
It would, yeah. By Yates, be thinking wants a trip anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I think probably the first Yates progeny that we've had here. I can probably, yeah, I'm pretty sure. But Rashid Balls is nothing if not enterprising. And let's hope Oscar Urbina gets around in one piece on this horse. So another look at number 11 here. And this is Volatile, who caught plenty of eyes when running a great race at Newmarket. That was back in October. It's perhaps a shade disappointing in the Guineas Trial last time, finishing behind Mubtahij, behind Zephyrus and a couple of others on that occasion. Nice big horse. He really is lovely to look at, and I hope he can do a bit better here, because he showed plenty of toe at Newmarket and wasn't seen to best effect last time on that course. As we look at the course and distance, courtesy of our drone camera for this classic trial. Maidan Classic listed event comes up in a few weeks' time. I mean, Mark, I looked at this race initially and thought it's very open, but actually there's plenty in here that you could probably rule out with a fair bit of confidence.
Yeah, there's a few there you could rule out, but look, 3-year-olds over here, you just never know what's going to turn up. There's a few here having the first run over here, so just be interested to see how they handle it, travelling and everything, and if it's the same horse they were back home.
Yeah, indeed. And I know you used to work for Mick Halford. He had such a great carnival, didn't he, last year? And this Witchwood Warrior is certainly not out of it. And say that they've been running well, sort of quietly, haven't they, the Halford horse? We saw a great run from Eastern Rules a couple of weeks back.
Mastermind, the international favourite, and Witchwood Warrior. So when they complete the line, Mastermind goes into 1 and Witchwood Warrior to the outside line. And with the button racing, Mastermind from the inside, one of the first out. Wild Citizen and West Horton out wide, didn't begin all that well. Intensa came out quickly. Burnt Sugar going forward, and Sure We Can is pushing forward too. Toscalini settling just off the pace on the inside of Witchwood Warrior. Volatile on the rail. Sephiros midfield, and then came Pasticcio on the outside of Florrie's Waltz, and Quarterback on the fence. A length away then is Wild Citizen on the outside of Initial. West Horton is second last, and Ramosh 2 lengths away at the tail of the field. Mastermind led through the first quarter in 24.9, and with 700 metres left to run is a half length in front. Intensa is second, Sure We Can third, and 3 deep. 2 lengths away, Volatile on the inside of Burnt Sugar. Then Toscalini, Zephyros, Witchwood Warrior. Quarterback, Florrie's Waltz, Pasticcio Initial. West Horton, Ramosh, and Wild Citizen last as they're in the straight. Mastermind the leader by more than a length. Intensa in second spot. Burnt Sugar is deeper on the track. Volatile running on, and then Toscalini as Mastermind showed the way at the 200 metres mark. Volatile on the outside is coming after Mastermind. Mastermind is digging. Mastermind in front of Volatile. Mastermind 3/4 of a length in front, and his subject, the winning post at Maidan. Mastermind has beaten Volatile. Toscalini may be third in a photo from Quarterback. Then Zephyros, Witchwood Warrior, Ramosh, Pasticcio, Intensa, Burnt Sugar, Florrie's Waltz, West Horton, Wild Citizen, and Sure We Can, with Initial coming in at long last of all. Mastermind, number 2, written by Paul Hannigan, has led all of the way to beat Volatile and Dane O'Neill as we wait for the numbers to be confirmed. And third, a photo, Toscalini, Quarterback, and Zephyros on the outside. 1:23.59. 1:23.59. About 8/10 outside of the record set by Phil Zonge here just last Saturday. Number 2, Mastermind. Paul Hannigan is first. 11, Volatile. Dane O'Neill second. Number 10, Toscalini. Wayne Smith has run third. 2, 11 and 10. Quarterback fourth. Zephyros fifth. Witchwood Warrior ran sixth. 2, 11, 10, 8, 15, 14 in 1:23.59.
Well, Mastermind was much the best here. Volatile did his best, but was never really able to make inroads on what was quite a convincing lead that Paul Hannigan had opened up, and he certainly took no prisoners on this horse, pretty much straight into the lead. And it was easy enough in the end, although Volatile tried very hard in second. A game run from him. he certainly wasn't really able to go with the winner in the closing stages. I don't think he wants much further than this, does he, Volatile? And a 1-3 for Mike de Kock. Toscanelli finishing third there ahead of quarterback Zephyrus, and Witchwood Warrior running a nice race for Ireland, finishing sixth there. But really, it was not quite like our last race, but certainly a case of it being pretty straightforward for the winning jockey, or so it looked.
Yeah, just noted there that he ran over 6 last out, so he's obviously sharpened up from the run. He took on the Ola horses, so quite tough now for 3-year-old to take on the Ola horses. But the second horse is a good run the last day. Just one to take out of it would be that Witchwood Warrior. Off it quite early, ran on into be 6th in the end, but stayed at it quite well. So look, first run over here, probably a bit of ring rust on him, so should be good for the run the next day.
Yeah, I have to step up in trip a little bit in the... No, Willie, that's 1,400 metres as well, isn't it, the Maidan Classic, I think. But there's a look at Paul Hannigan, who had a bit of an interrupted campaign, was back here later than planned due to an injury, but he's riding as brilliantly as ever at the moment. And this horse certainly looks progressive, 2 from 4 at the moment. And another victory for Mike de Kock, who's got more and more horses for His Highness Sheikh Hamdan. That's 702 winners, I think I'm right in saying, for Sheikh Hamdan here in the UAE. And yeah, 702 winners. Got a notable landmark when Etija scored for him at Al Ain on Friday. That was number 700, and that takes Paul to 65 winners here in the UAE, and Mike de Kock to 155. We'll have a look at the race again and get Mark's view on the closing stages. But Steve has just disappeared, but he came back to report that he was quite impressed with the run of the debutant Ramosh for Rashid Borsley. He's finished the race very well, around 7th, we think. So a good performance from that one. Certainly something to work with there for Mr. Borsley. But Mastermind coming back into the parade ring to rapturous applause, and there's Angus Gold to the rear of the horse. He's here on his way back, presumably from South Africa. He was there helping out with Ertijal, who won the Cape Derby in Kenilworth at the weekend for His Highness Sheikh Hamdan. Angus is Sheikh Hamdan's racing manager over in Europe, and no doubt he'll be delighted with the victory of Mastermind here, the son of Var. And as you say, Mark, I mean, that run last time definitely just helped him get the edge fitness-wise, and you know, that was against Kanaf, who's sort of a hardened sprinter, isn't it? This horse is a totally different sort of horse, progressive, and there's a lot to like about him.
There is, yeah. Look, he's quite tough being out there in front, and he stayed at it. Normally a horse might just wait another one, but he stayed it quite well and definitely knows his job anyway.
Yeah, it certainly does. Looks pretty fresh now still, doesn't he, in the unsaddling enclosure. And Mike de Kock, steady start to the carnival. So these horses that come over from South Africa, as we say so many times, had to overcome an awful lot of travelling. It's around 90 days on the road, around 300 days, if not more, off the track. And they do just need their first run as far as Waltz as possibly. And he's a really likeable horse, Azima. But let's give you the conditions for our IPIC trophy. 2,810 metres, as I mentioned. We're on the turf. 95 plus is the handicap band. $150,000, and Earth Drummer is the notable non-runner because he ran very, very well last time. Number 1 is Azima, James Doyle, Saeed bin Saror. Meandra tries this trip for the first time. Pat Dobbs and Doug Watson. Bank of Burden racing at his 5th Dubai World Cup Carnival for Niels Peterson. Star Empire, Christophe Soumillon, Mike de Kock. Maktoum, Wayne Smith and Mike Gain. Rio Tigra, Mikhail Barcelona, Salem bin Gidea. Aussie Reigns, Paul Hannigan, William Knight. Elidor, Dane O'Neill and Nick Shannon. Duke Derby, another one for Niels Peterson, would seem to be the second string. Famous Kid, attracting quite a lot of attention, this fellow. Bred to get the trip. William Buick, Saeed bin Saror. I thought it was over. Tiger Shea, Hassan Al-Hamadi, newcomer for him. Izaj goes for Cam Hardy, Ahmed bin Harmash, and Layali Al-Andalus, Richie Mullen, Satish Seema. The Godolphin boys, William Buick on the right, James Doyle on the left. And Paul Hannigan rides Aussie Reigns here. Sylvester D'Souza on duty for Niels Peterson. Pat Dobbs on Meandra here. Interesting that they're trying Meandra over this trip. He's never gone this far. So Azima then is a class act over this sort of trip. He's been off for 189 days, and that is a bit of a concern for me. He's never actually won first up. He missed last year's Carnival, as I said, but he was second in this race in 2013 behind Star Empire. He also won the Nadal Sheba Trophy that year over course and distance off a mark of 106. He goes off a mark of 113 today, but he is the classy horse in the race, and he's sure to be thereabouts. So Watson and Pat Dobbs team up here with Meandre. Here he is. He's a multiple Group 1 winner over in Europe. He was perhaps a bit disappointing on his return in the Singsbeil Stakes last time out over what would have been an inadequate trip, 1,800 metres. It's interesting that Doug is going this route potentially to try and run the horse in the Dubai Gold Cup at the end of the season. You'd think that might be the aim. They've taken the visor off him tonight. He's a lovely horse, and I hope he can go well for them here. That's Fatih Exiema giving instructions to Tiger Shea, who rides I Thought It Was Over here. This is Bank of Burden. Deserves some sort of longevity medal, really. His 5th Carnival. He's never even been placed. He's a 9 times Group 3 winner back at home in Scandinavia, but he's always struggled here for whatever reason. He has won over this sort of distance, over 2,800 metres. That overall, that was on soft ground, though. Number 4, this is a lovely horse, Star Empire. You can set your watch by him. He's so consistent. He won this race in 2013 off a mark of 102. Goes off 110 today. Christoph Soumillon has picked him over Maktoum. So he's just so consistent, Star Empire. He ran well last time behind Half a Guinea. Over 2,000 metres. That would have been far too short for him. For me, this is between him and Azima. There is the connections of Maktoum, Sheikh Mohammed bin Khalifa Al Maktoum in the centre there. Hamid Khalil, I think, in there as well. Here is Maktoum. And Mark, I expect you remember this fellow from England. He won a Chester Vase, went on to run 5th in Camelot's Derby. He's got a good deal of class and steps up in trip for the first time, but the indications are that he'll stay.
Yeah, look, being a Derby horse, he obviously will stay a trip by Dubai. Look, I think Dubai's having a great carnival here this year, hasn't he?
Absolutely, on both surfaces.
Winners, so, but look, obviously, with Mike's other runner being so consistent around here and having Christoph choosing him, it'd be a bit of a negative, but you never know, stepping up in trip could fall his way.
Yeah, exactly. Got a bit to prove, unlike Star Empire and Azima, who've been here and done it before. This is Rio Tigre, who's having his first start here in the UAE. He's with Andre Fabre over in France, where he was a listed winner on the soft ground. I've got my own views about horses coming here from France. I don't think they do as well as the form suggests, and I do think a lot of that is to do with the ground conditions they run over in France. Obviously, there's massive exceptions to this, African Story and Prince Bishop being some of them. But there are a few that come here with very good form in the book and just struggle. Aussie Reigns struggled a bit last time, and unfortunately. Was quite well up with the pace on that occasion, over 2,345 metres. I suspect they might be a bit more restrained on this occasion and ride him to get the trip. Paul Hannigan on board for William Knight. He ran a great race at the Carnival last year, and he certainly shouldn't be ruled out. Neither should this fellow, Elidor. He's £10 higher than his last win. That came at Thirsk back in April. He's a Royal Ascot winner. That came in the King George V Stakes. Both of his wins have come over 2,400 metres, but he has run well over trips further than this, and indeed over 2 miles. So I don't think stamina is really an issue, and I would very much like to see Mick Shannon back in the winner's enclosure. This is Duke Derby. Looks a second string for Niels Peterson. He's been second over this sort of trip before. He ran all right on the dirt last time behind Le Bernardin, but he's got that race under his belt now, should bring him on, but still he's probably got a little bit to find here. Number 12 is an interesting one for Hassan Al Hamadi. The majority of this owner's horses, Fatih's horses, are with are with Masar Brown Maheri. This horse used to be with Mark Johnston. Just cost them 4,000 guineas at Tattersall's in October of 2013. He's a listed winner as well. This is famous Kid Mark. A lot of people like this fellow. He's a half-brother to Mastery, a St Ledger's winner. Also Kirklees, who stayed well. He's a young, improving sort.
Yeah, he's second to LeBernardin the last day. I think gave away an awful lot of weight that day to LeBernardin. But solid run. Probably would appreciate the step up in trip, just looking at his previous form. Having won over 2,400 and 2,200. So look, he probably come on from his first run and everything, and the step on trip should suit him.
We'll go back to Leali Al-Andalus in a moment and get Mark's thoughts on him. This is R2. I can't see winning this, to be honest. He's stepping down in class, arguably, having run in the Singsfield Stakes last time out behind True Story. And a good race prior to that at Jebel Ali, but I think he's at his best when he can boss a small field. Cam Hardy, though, good jockey booking. Leali Al-Andalus, been a good friend to you, Mark, down the years, a good friend to Satish Seema. Interesting that he tries him in this spot.
Yeah, well, look, he's no weight in his back. He's very consistent. He's actually a great horse there during the carnival. Always picks up a few checks and quite an easy horse to ride. You can drop him out, and he likes to be sort of come through the field rather than sort of swoop and loop them. But kind of the more trouble you get into him, the more he likes it. But very consistent, no weight in his back. So if all falls his way, it could be quite interesting to see how he runs.
And you think he'll see out this trip, no problem?
He's the type of horse, he switches off quite well. He's not going to over-race, which is a big factor in actually getting a trip. And when you wake him up, he has a turn of foot, he has that one run, so it should suit him.
Yeah, I certainly thought he's worth a shot in here, Leali Al-Andalus. Am I right in thinking that the dirt hasn't really suited him to be sort of confined to these turf races?
Not so much. Look, he loves it to Peter. Look, he hadn't got a bad run when I was fifth in him.
No, not at all behind
here, Henry Clay. But I think he could appreciate the grass that bit better.
Okay, so don't rule out Leali Al-Andalus, particularly at a price of around 40 to 1 as we look at the, I hate the phrase marathon trip because it isn't that far, but anyway, look at the long trip, the considerable trip that these horses will race over in a few moments, 2,810 metres. And let's see if perhaps we can have a look at some previous form, because Arzima's Goodwood Cup second behind Cavalryman is certainly worth looking at. Cavalryman was absolute star for Godolphin last season, and Azima has proved that he can win over these distances, and I think this Goodwood Cup run proved just how good he is. Azima just failed by the narrowest of margins really to reel in Cavalryman. Hopefully have a look at that in a moment as we zoom in on the piece of metal that matters most here at Meydan.
Sir, how are you?
Let's have a look at it then. There is Azim. He's such a lovely horse. I've got a lot of time for him. Harry Bentley was on board on this occasion. Oh, they weren't quite going that fast. Cavalryman's out in front. You got Brown Panther, who went on to win a Group 1 after that, and I think that's excellent result. I think in the white cap for Godolphin. He nearly gets here, Harry Bentley. I backed him on this occasion, so this is painful to watch. But Cavalryman, you know, a proven, well, a Group 1 winner, a proven horse in this sort of race. And I think Azima last campaign in Europe was just sort of coming back from whatever ruled him out of last year's carnival, and assuming he doesn't need this run because he's not the best fresh, and then he's got to be seriously considered here. Let's go across to Steve, who's got himself to the start.
Yeah, I'm down at the start where there are plenty of seasoned performers down here. The one that catches my eye, though, is number 7. This is Aussie Rains, who, when I first saw him a couple of weeks ago, I felt he looked fairly backward in his coat. He's certainly perked up over the last couple of weeks, as you'd expect in the Dubai Sun. I expect him to perform a lot better than last time behind Al Saham. There is one in the Monty Roberts Rug for Stalls entry. That's the Godolphin horse, Famous Kid, in the blue and white, but he looks very relaxed. Arzima going around here like an old pro. Star Empire, he's been here many times before, so at the moment
far enough forward to shut the gate, it appears, and he backed himself out again. So he's enjoying his time in the spotlight at the moment. Racing without blinkers tonight. Now, is he all the way in now? Yes. So Mr. Ryan with the thumb poised over the button Famous Kid Towie out wide. Racing, Famous Kid a little slow to go from that outside gate. I thought it was over, didn't come out all that quickly. Star Empire not showing a lot of speed, but Duke Derby and Azima began well. So did Aussie Rain, so did Meandre, and they're crawling. Down the straight the first time, you'd beat them on a bicycle. And Duke Derby and Sylvester de Souza go looking for the lead at the judge. Azima second, Meandre third, and Rio Tigra fourth. Aussie Rain's fifth, tugging for rain. Alador is sixth. Azage is seventh on the fence on the inside of Leali Al-Andalus. Famous Kids out deep, and then Star Empire. Bank of Burden, Maktoum, and I thought it was over, dropped out to the tail of the field as Duke Derby takes them to the swing out of the straight after they ran the first 400 in a very pedestrian 28.6. And going past the 2,000 metres mark, it's Duke Derby showing the way, the break a length and a half. Azima is second, Meandre third, lobbing into the box seat. Rio Tigra fourth, Aussie Rain's fifth, Azage is sixth, Famous Kid seventh, Alador eighth, followed by Bank of Burden on the inside of Star Empire. 3 parts of a length, Leali Al-Andalus. I thought it was over second last, and Maktoum is last of all, turning into the back with 800 left in 54.4. And down the back, still no great pace on, and Duke Derby is 3/4 of a length in front of Azima. Meandre 3/4 of a length away third. Rio Tigra ahead away. 3 parts of a length to Aussie Rains, who's still asking for more rain from Paul. Bank of Burden on the fence on the inside of Azage, who's tugging. Famous Kids travelled 3 deep. Aliador behind him. Leali Al-Andalus on the rail. Star Empire is 8 lengths off the lead. Maktoum is second last. I thought it was over, is last of all. Duke Derby took them through 1,200 metres in 1:20.7 and 1,600 metres in 1:46.4. They're not leaving any scorch marks on the track. And out of the back straight, Duke Derby in front of Azima, who's 3/4 of a length away. He's sitting pretty at the moment. Meandre's third, Rio Tigra fourth, and then Aussie Rain's Famous Kid. Bank of Burden, followed by Alador. Star Empire will have to get going. The leaders have had a very easy time. Then Leali Al-Andalus, Maktoum, Azage. I thought it was over, is last as they start to push now. Coming around the bend past the 500 metres mark. 2,000 gone in 2:11.9. And Azima has run to the front past Duke Derby. Rio Tigra there to deliver on the outside. Famous Kid is joining in. Star Empire's giving away too much start. Meandre's got chopped out, but Famous Kid's descended on his stable companion. Famous Kid's travelled wide throughout, but he's put his head in front of Azima. Then Meandre, Famous Kid in front, and Famous Kid wins. Famous Kid first, Azima second, Meandre third, Maktoum fourth, and then Leali Al-Andalus, Rio Tigra, Star Empire. Well, the pedestrian pace didn't help him. Forget he went around. Then Duke Derby, Aussie Rains, Bank of Burden, Alador, Azage, and one more. I thought it was over. A further 50 metres away, last of all. Well, he travelled wide throughout, but they weren't going fast, so he wasn't using that much extra gas. And he's been too good at the end, Famous Kid. Number 11, written by William Buick in 2:59.81. The record is 56.48, and they've run 59.81. As we wait for the numbers to go up. But Saeed bin Saror has prepared 1-2. 11, Famous Kid, William Buick first. Number 1, Azima, James Doyle is running second. Number 2, Meandre, who had a checkered passage in the straight, is third. So Famous Kid, William Buick, Azima, James Doyle, Meandre, Pat Dobbs third. Maktoum's come from stone last at one stage to run fourth. Rio Tigra fifth, and Leali Al-Andalus has come from well back to run sixth. The time 2:59.81.
Well, he was the talking horse. He was the young, improving horse in the race. And Famous Kid has bested his Godolphin stablemate Azima, who, as he often does, found a lot of the bridle Azima. He looked beaten at this stage, but found plenty in reserve. And it was the battle of the big battalions. Godolphin v Godolphin. Then on the outside, Mike de Kock with the Star Empire and Maktoum. And then Meandre finishing like a train, having been arguably cut off earlier on when Azima slightly shifted to his left, has certainly proved that trying him in in this sort of race over a bit further. It certainly was a good idea by Doug Watson, and he was the eye catcher. But plenty to talk about here. Famous Kid, we said before, he's bred to get a trip, being a half brother to a St Leger winner in Mastery, and he has certainly proved that Saeed bin Suroor's grip on this staying division is not about to abate at all. And you were keen on Azima beforehand, Mark, and you know he's run his race here, hasn't he? But Famous Kid had the benefit of a run last time. That might have just made the difference.
Famous Kid is after doing it well, benefit of a run, but a great run for the second horse after giving him nearly 7 kilos. It's quite a good run. Obviously, the winner had the run, has done it quite well. Just saying, last year, like he gave way a bit away to LeBurn, and then I think it was that run where LeBurn encouraged was 53 and a half.
Yeah, certainly perhaps preferred being back on the turf to running on the dirt as he did last time. Famous Kid. But Steve, I mean, Saeed won the staying contest the other week with Al Saham. He's just got so many good horses over this distance, and this one has got time on his side.
Yeah, exactly. He's only had the 8 starts. He's now won half of them. A similar horse really last year with excellent result, wasn't it? Who went through the ranks to a certain degree. Azima ran reasonably well. He kind of hung his chance away, as he tends to do. He's got a disconcertingly a number of seconds next to his name for my liking, but he's done all right, and Meandra possibly would have finished second without that interference. So these staying races, they tend to dawdle around a little bit, and it's one with the best turn of foot, and Famous Kid showed it tonight.
Yeah, just his 8th career start, Famous Kid. He's now won half of them. Maktoum ran a good race as well. He and Star Empire got in a bit of a private battle on the outside. Rio Tigre as well, having his first run before Salem bin Gidea, did what most of Salem's horses seem to do, which is run an absolute stormer first up. So he could be one to watch later on. And Mark, from your yard, Ali Al Andalus, great run from him, because you were telling me that probably wouldn't have really suited him the way that race was run. Yeah,
look, he dawdled around. Probably could have done it on a strike, quicker form, just getting warmed up before he turns in. But no, look, good run, good solid run. So we'll see how he comes out of the race for the next day.
Yeah, but certainly proves that trying him over this trip was not a bad idea. Picked up a nice check there in 4th, and there is William Buick debriefing Saeed bin Suroor, Brian Powell, and Sheikh Juma. And a look at the closing stages. Famous Kid. His chestnut's done off Street Cry. Very American breeding. You can see why they tried him on the dirt last time. We'll see if we can have a look in a moment at the head-on. Steve, you just take us through this interference. Azima's just slightly edged to his left, although James has straightened him quite quickly. He's done Pat Dobbs and Meandra no favours. Yeah, he's got his whip in the right hand. He's put his hands on. There's absolutely, I don't think there's a riding offence at all. It's just Azima's a bit tricky, really, a bit quirky, and he's gone to his left. Meandra's had to snatch up. I think that'll open up good options for Doug Watson. Meandra's performance, they can maybe go down the Dubai Gold Cup route, and he'd have more of a chance of winning that than the Shima Classic. So a positive performance from him. Maktoum as well. Mike de Kock will probably have similar feelings regards him as Doug Watson would Meandra. He's run on well down the outside. So these staying races are a bit of a test of speed almost. It sounds silly to say, but Godolphin invariably introduced 1 or 2 nice ones, and here we can have a look at the head-on. You can see Azima's already going left, and James Doyle picks his whip through into his right hand, trying to straighten him out. Whether the stewards will deem he perhaps could have put his hands back on the reins a touch early, I think that would be quite harsh, really, to suggest he's done anything wrong. And Famous Kid in the white cap finds plenty. Star Empire, Terry mentioned in commentary that the steady pace wouldn't have done him any good. I suspect he'll be back next time and run his usual honest race. Yeah, Godolphin won this last year with an excellent result, and then dropped him back in trip, and he won the City of Gold over a mile and a half, 2,400 metres. So they might well try something like that. It's by no means confirmed that this fellow will go down the Gold Cup route. Nice to have so many options. Of course, they've got Al Saham as well, possibly for that race. Azima will be back, but a nice lightly raced horse with which to hopefully go back to Europe and campaign in these big cup races, which Godolphin do so well. Quite a live wire, Couptado. Doug stood just the right distance away to emerge from that interview with all of his fingers intact. I think he's got a better chance than his price would suggest in Maktoum Challenge Round 2 coming up very shortly. It's a Group 2, $250,000, 11 of them run.
Story in the blue of Godolphin is forging clear and wins the Dubai World Cup. Prince Bishop has started to the front. It's round 2, it's round 3 to the Prince. Capital Attraction has stolen a break, and he wins Capital Attraction first. Surfer digs in. Surfer will do it. A deserved win. Couptado battles back. Couptado's drawing away again, close to home. La Bernardine's a fit racehorse. And La Bernardine down to the line. Harthek in front. And Harthek wins. He's tearing away from them up the hill. Ennobled Friend, a very easy winner. Emirates Flyer in front. Emirates Flyer.
So the runners and riders for Maktoum Challenge Round 2, sponsored by iPick, headed by Capital Attraction. The best draw for him in 1 here. Tygo Shea, Salem Al Ketby. Prince Bishop goes for William Buick. Saeed Bin Saror bids to win this race for the second year on the bounce. Couptado, Pat Dobbs, Doug Watson. The return of the Dubai World Cup winner, African Story. James Doyle rising for the first time. Surfer, Richie Mullen, Satish Seemar. Harthek goes for Paul Hannigan, Ali Al-Rahi. Emirates Flyer, each way prospect for me, Adre Devry, Saeed Bin Saror. Ennobled Friend, Sylvester de Souza, Ahmed Bin Harmash. Frankie Four Fingers, real eye catcher last time for Mikhail Barcelona, Salem Bin Gidea. La Bernardine, Royston French, Ali Al-Rahi, and Zambuca, Wayne Smith and Satish Seemar. There's a look at Mikhail Barcelona and William Buick. And here is Capital Attraction, who's a thoroughly likeable horse. He arguably is, well, he is at his best over the 1400 metre to a mile trip. He has been 7th in a handicap over this distance. He's got a better draw than last time when he finished 10th in round 1 behind Surfer. I can see him running well at a big price. I can't see him winning it. But he certainly is one who will see well up with the pace. He probably won't get his own way in front though. Couptado isn't going to hang about either. Just having second run of the year. Capital Attractions should be a lot fitter. Ali Rashid Arai has a second. La Bernardine in here. This is Prince Bishop, winner of this race last year, and then he threw away his chance in the Dubai World Cup, for which he was well fancied when he missed the break. After his victory here, he went on to add round 3 to it. He's the horse who continually surprises. He has to, again, turn a new trick and prove he goes on the dirt. So I'm not necessarily sure that he will, but he's a horse you can never, ever rule out. He's had an identical prep to last year's carnival. This is Couptado. Doug Watson has spoken about him more eloquently than I ever can. 49 days since we saw him last, but as you heard from the interview, that was the plan. He's a Grade 3 winner over in South America, over further than this 2,500 metres. They can afford to make plenty of use of him. And there's Adre and William Buick, Emirates Flyer and Prince Bishop. So here he is. Great to see the World Cup winner back so early. I personally didn't think we'd see him before Super Saturday. He was second in this race last year when perhaps ridden to get the trip. Arguably should have won, just a length or so behind Sylvester de Souza. He runs very, very well fresh. He has been to the UK. I think the early plan was to run him in something like the Juddmonte International. They aborted that pretty quickly, and he's back here now. He's going to take a lot of beating if he goes on the dirt. Pedigree offers hope he will, and he's won on the fibre sand. This is Surfer. I'll ask Mark for his opinion on him in a bit. I know he's a bit wary of jinxing the yard favourite here, Surfer, but he was 8th in this race last year. He's better than he showed then. He was 2nd in it in 2013. He's 2 from 2 on the dirt. Satish Seemar feels he's a better horse on it than he was in the Tapeta. And don't rule him out. He's been 2nd twice over this trip. Harthek, for me, doesn't quite see out this trip as well as he does a mile. He's a lovely horse. He ran well last time over a mile behind Tamakas. So I think he's more effective over a shorter trip. Paul Hannigan could well be running past tired horses in the end, though, as he did last time out. This is Emirates Flyer, 2 runs over this distance in the UAE Derby and also in the Bastakia, and ran well on both occasions. Again, he could be running home well for minor money is how I think he'll get on today, Emirates Flyer. Ennobled Friend, absolutely hacked up at Jebel Ali last year. Hasn't won since and was well beaten behind Surfer last time. I think that's as good as he is. He's a horse who, again, likes to get out in front. If he can do so, he'll be more of a danger. Drawn in 8 on this occasion. Frankie Four Fingers ran an absolute stormer last time, first up behind Surfer. He's unexposed at this trip. He's 1 from 2 over it. He's worth a second chance. He's a little bit tricky before a race, as you can see there. Keen to get on with things for Mikel Barcelona. Certainly would be my pick of the prey drink. Absolutely bouncing there. Let's see if we can have a look at Le Bernardin as well. No, we've gone back to Surfer. I must ask you a view on him, Mark. I mean, he's been a smashing horse, hasn't he, for Satish?
Yeah, he's been a great candidate for the yard. I don't want to say too much now because any horse I've tipped this evening hasn't ran too well. But obviously, look, he seems to be a different horse than the dirt surface. Seems to appreciate the change in surface. So I don't want to say too much about him because my form this evening isn't that good. But
what about this fella then? For the same yard, Zambuca ran a great race in this when he was 3rd last year.
Zambuca ran a cracker here last year. He was 3rd in the race. Just over the mile in round 1 probably wasn't ideal for him, but I think the further he goes, the better he is.
Okay, yeah, it wasn't a bad run last time. Finished 7 lengths behind stable companion Surfer. Looks like his owner's got a set of new silks there. I don't recognise those. There's a look at the tractors going over that's not a live shot, just to reassure people. We really are testing out our new toy drone camera to its limits this evening, and some lovely pictures it gives us as well. It'd be nice to return to a shot of perhaps our World Cup winner, the African Story. So he's got a history against him, really, as I said at the start of the programme. No World Cup winner has won a race since Curlin back in 2008. Curlin won a hatful of them. I mean, I should clarify this, a lot of them go straight off to stud and things like that. Only one horse has come back to defend a World Cup. That was Silver Charm. He didn't manage it, unfortunately. Finished behind Al Mutawakel, I think it was. But certainly, all being well, African Story will line up on the big night. That's obviously where they're pointing for him. And there are the stalls just being put in place for this Maktoum Challenge R2 over 1,900 metres. So just short of the trip they'll be racing over on the big night. I mean, Mark, obviously you're rooting for your yards horses, but are you fearful of African Story?
Yeah. Look, obviously World Cup winner, sort of big feat to him, but changing surface, not having ran since March, but look, he's obviously going to be race ready. Another horse there, the last day, Frankie Four Fingers. On his run the last day, you'd say he get the trip. He's not really proven over it, but if he's the same horse he was in round 1, I could see him staying the trip. I
agree, that was a super run, and he's had enough time in between to get over any potential sort of bounce factor. I've got this theory that the Salem Bin Gadea horses run very, very well 1st and 3rd up. So he's had a bit of time in between races. And there's William Buick on Emirates Flyer, who won the Colts Classic trial last year. Ennobled Friend, and a look at Frankie Four Fingers, who Mark is keen on. He looks quite a buzzy sort of horse, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. He looks a bit tricky, but he seems to handle his race well once he gets going. So not for horses who can be like that.
Well, let's have a look at Surfer's finest hour then, last time out. Actually, we'll have a look at him finishing. Yes, this is Surfer and Frankie Four Fingers. Has second here as well. He runs on well to finish third. I mean, Surfer will probably have improved again from this run. This was just his second start of the season, but as you say, Frankie Four Fingers really made him work for it, didn't he?
He did, yeah. Frankie Four Fingers always breathing down his neck, right to the wire. Be interesting to just see how they both come out of that race, because it should be a good factor in form anyway.
And that must have been a good weekend for everyone in the yard, because this horse has always been a yard favourite. I gather that they've really looked after him, and you know, he finally got what he deserved, which was a Group 2 win. He
did, yeah. Look, people say it was a long time coming, but he just, since it changed dirt, he's nearly a different horse. He's always been a good horse at home, but obviously just the Peter wasn't suiting him, and he's relished the conditions now.
Well, it's a big test really for this fellow African Story. Let's have a look at his finest hour. Unless he wins another World Cup, he's never going to top this. Is he? Surfer in here as well. African Story did well really to run down Maktoum, who's gone on to win an Eclipse. The form from last year's World Cup has worked out reasonably well. For me, he was a very, very good horse onto Peter. If he can convert that form to dirt, then he'll be an exceptional horse. I know Sylvester de Souza was very confident going into this race. The horse had banged his head in the Maktoum Challenge R2, so had excuses prior to the World Cup. But the way he won that was very, very good. And Surfer, Mark, is better than he showed on that occasion, isn't he, in the World Cup?
You'd like to think so, yeah.
Certainly. Still looks a better horse this year, as Mark says. Let's bring Steve in a second. And you spoke on the winning line quite a lot about this horse, and so we can hear from Steve now. He's in the parade ring with Saeed bin Saror.
And with Saeed bin Saror, who's got 3 runners in the second round of the Maktoum Challenge, including, of course, African Story, who was such a thrilling winner of the Dubai World Cup last year.
Well, he after when he won Dubai World Cup, Sheikh Mohammed, he decided with him to keep him, you know, give him a break in the summer and just keep him for Dubai racing, you know, and he worked really well in all weather at Tabita in the morning and Algoz. Always last piece fork, he worked really well in so far longs. James, he rode him, he's happy with him, you know, and Prince Bishop, he's Group 3 winner last time at Compton in England. You know, both of them, they are in good form, ready to go. I mean, they need the race, and this first time for them in the dirt. You know, I hope they can run well. If they are in nice position, good in handy, I think he have a chance to run well.
Emirates Flyer, he's had a run. Do you think he can be in the mix as well?
He's fit. There's no excuse for him. This is another chance for him, Group 2.
Is there a bit of nerves around bringing African Story back?
Well, this is a big name, a high-profile horse. You know, I'll be happy if he won the race.
Well, best of luck with all 3.
Thank you, sir.
Well, I don't think it's overdoing it to say that if African Story can win tonight, it would do the World Cup a favour. It's a fantastic race, a lot of prestige, a lot of money, but it'd be great if horses can come out of it and go on and win elsewhere, and it would be fantastic if African Story can go back there on World Cup night this year with a fighting chance. It's hard for horses to switch surfaces at the age of 8, and there is Capital Attraction go.
1900 metres. Bernardin goes in. Signals are given. Gates fly, and they're racing in round 2 with Emirates Flyer in the middle and Zambuca out wide, a little slow to go. Capital Attraction came out quickly, and Noble Friend is labelled urgent in the early part. African Story began well, so did Surfer, so did Frankie Four Fingers. Then La Bernardine, Harthek, Prince Bishop, Emirates Flyer. Couptado is second last, and Zambuca had dropped out to the tail of the field as Capital Attraction holds the inside and is taken on by Frankie Four Fingers as they travel to the back. First quarter, 25.4, and Frankie Four Fingers takes over. 1,400 metres out, leads by 3/4 of a length. A Noble Friend is second. La Bernardine, a half length away third. He's 3 wide. Capital Attraction on the fence running 4th, and Surfer, 1 away from the rail, is 5th. A length to half Feck on the outside of African Story. Emirates Flyer pushing through in the middle. Then Zambuca. Prince Bishop is second last, and Couptado whipped the field in with 900 metres left to travel. They ran 800 in 49.4, and now They're at the half-mile marker, and Frankie Four Fingers showed the way out of the back. From an Oval Friend with La Bernardine, a half-length away third and 3 deep. A length and a half to Surfer being ridden along. Then Harthek, Capital Attraction gone. African Stories come off the rail, but James Doyle is hard at work. Then Cuptado, Prince Bishop, Emirates Flyer and Zambuca as Frankie leads for home. Frankie Four Fingers past the quarter pole in front of La Bernardine. Surfer's a length and a half away. Then Harthek. African Stories making heavy weather of it. Frankie's not. Frankie Four Fingers 200 metres out. 2.5 in front. Surfer battling away. Then La Bernardine. Prince Bishop's rattling home at the end. Frankie Four Fingers tired. The Prince is flying home, but there's the post, and Frankie's the winner. Frankie Four Fingers beat Prince Bishop. La Bernardine third. Surfer fourth. Then Harthek, Cuptado. African Story and Oval Friend, followed by Zambuca, Emirates Flyer and Capital Attraction came in last of all. Frankie Four Fingers, second in round 1, winner in round 2. Prince Bishop flying home at the end from well back and hard ridden coming to the turn, but the post was too close. La Bernardine has run out of his skin for third. Surfer looked to have every possible chance in fourth. And then Harthek, Cuptado, and the writing was on the wall for African Story a long way out. And the time, 1:58.24. 1:58.24 is a 1900 metres dirt record. 9, Frankie Four Fingers, Mikhail Barcelona the winner. 2, Prince Bishop, William Buick second. 10, La Bernardine, Royston French has run third. Surfer fourth, Harthek fifth. Cuptado sixth. 9, 2, 10, 5, 6 and 3 in 1:58.24. Slightly different tactics taken to the lead, and has been too good and has won well. He was getting tired over the concluding stages, and Prince Bishop ran an eye-catching race from a heck of a long way back, but the post was always going to beat the Prince, and Mikhail Barcelona has added another feature win. And this new stable, this new Fazza Racing with the horses prepared by Salem bin Gadaya, has notched up its first major success in only its first season. Ahead the winning margin, a length and a quarter and a neck. Ahead, a length and a quarter and a neck with the distances. The time 1:58.24. New 1900 metres dirt record. To be expected, I suppose. It's the best class race run over 1900 metres so far. Frankie Four Fingers has won round number 2. African Story, back to the drawing board.
Well, Frankie did it. That run first up was no fluke, and he could have been called the winner a fair way out until the horse who could never be discounted, Prince Bishop, threw down a serious challenge, and he has got within a head of nicking this off Mikhail Barcelona, who, I mean, Mark, you were right to put up this horse before as a real danger, because he's looked very, very good here, but Prince Bishop made Mikhail sweat a bit, I'd say, in the last few strides.
He did, yeah. Look, it's a great run from Prince Bishop. He hasn't ran since the summer, since he's winning Kempton. I think Freddie Slick was on him that day. But he could be one to take out maybe for the next day even, if Frankie Four Fingers doesn't show up. But look, you'd have to be happy with Prince Bishop.
Yeah, he would. He's obviously adapted reasonably well to the dirt. He's faced plenty of kickback there, Prince Bishop. So we take another look at just how Frankie Four Fingers did it. This was his 17th start. He was unexposed over this trip. He'd won one of his 2 tries over it. And he's been a good recruit from racing over in France for Salem bin Gadaya, who saddles a Group 2 winner in just his second, just his first year of training, and he had a handful of runners at Salem. And well done to Mikhail Barcelona. There is the winning trainer, just to the left of the horse, and hopefully we can speak to him a little bit later on. He's got some nice ammunition in his yard, but still you've got to get the horses to win. And there's Charlie Appleby going and congratulating them. And Steve, this was a good performance, and the form was in the book. He'd run well last time behind Surfer, as Mark highlighted. Can't get away from the fact there were a few disappointments in here, though. African Story, one of them.
Yeah, he never really got going at all, did he, African Story? But the way Frankie Forhickers had travelled in that Surfer race, you felt he would have a fair enough chance, I suppose, of reversing form. Surfer didn't quite go through the race with the same sort of fluency as had been the case in the first round, and Prince Bishop picked up the pieces to a degree to finish second. Interesting to know where they go trip-wise with him, because on the face of it, he was coming to the end of his tether, wasn't he? Would a more patient ride enable him to see it out more? Just the way he travels, he does look a class act on this surface, doesn't he?
Yeah, Prince Bishop, though, who won this race last year, is going to relish the step up to 2,000 metres in the next round, if indeed that's where they go with him. That was Saeed bin Saror just congratulating Salem, and a happy bunch of people associated with this horse, who was getting a great reception from the Meydan crowd. He looks a bit of a handful. He was like that beforehand.
I noticed, yeah, in the paddock, he nearly wiped me out while I was waiting to actually walk into it. He's a fine big horse, isn't he? You can see why he really does like this surface. And he looks uncomplicated in the race itself, you know, seen out in front, or prominent at least. And found enough just to hold on from Prince Bishop, who came back absolutely caked in dirt, didn't he? I wonder what he made of that experience.
He's the sort of tricky, quirky horse that probably quite likes running through a bit of kickback. He's that sort of horse. He sort of thrives when the odds are against him, really. He's evergreen, isn't he? Prince Bishop, great run from Le Bernardin. We didn't really speak much about him beforehand because he was up in class here. I thought he might just struggle, but that was a fine performance from him. And if Ali can find a spot for him on Super Saturday in the World Cup, he'll certainly run him. And we're going to see a lot more of this team here. They're training at the moment out of Millennium Stables here at Meydan. I understand they're going to move to an all-singing, dancing new. What a fantastic start he's made to his career, and perhaps hear from him in a moment. Stephen waiting to get a word with one of the winning connections. Mikhail Barcelona shortly going up to receive his trophy. Great to see him back here. Had a turbulent sort of 12 months, 2 years, when the Derby at the tender age of 19 won a Dubai World Cup, of course. Spent most of last year riding over in France, and now he's back with what looks like an incredibly lucrative job here, and a job with prospects of much better if their first few runners have been anything to go by. And they've obviously got a bit of a team effort. Quite a big team, I think, alongside Salem. Saw Mikhail riding out the other morning, so he's obviously keeping himself busy away from the evening racing, and a fine young jockey. And we'll hear plenty more from him, of course, in the future. And they look pretty happy with this, don't they? And let's see if we can hear, hopefully, from one of the winning connections. Steve just waiting in the wings there to see if we can hear. I think they're just embroiled in talking to some of the written press at the moment. Perhaps Salim looks like he's having a bit of a debrief with a couple of guys over there, and we're very politely waiting, because we always do want to hear from the connections after a big race win. But here's a look at just how he did it. What a fine looking horse this is. He's got himself a stallion career now off the back of this win, and who's to say he can't go on even better. But he will have to prove his stamina over further if he's to add round 3 of this challenge, which of course is a Group 1. Now let's hear just how the race was, though, from the perspective of the man on board.
Yeah, Mikhail Barcelona successful on Frankie Forfingers. He's taken really well to this surface, hasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. We're very lucky. He loves his surface. He's kind of surface today. He won a very good race, and we are very happy with him. He improved a bit since the last run.
He certainly travelled very well last time. Did that give you hope he could reverse form with Surfer at least?
Well, yeah, because I knew last time he wasn't fit 100%, and today he was. But to be fair, I'm not sure about if he stay really the trip or not. Like we can see today, he picked up Nashim, but after that he just stay on. So hopefully he will come on again of this race, and then we'll see him again.
A relatively new association with Salem bin Gideh. Things seem to be going very well for the both of you.
Yeah, at the moment everything is a new stable, so we build everything at the moment, but we still have some good results and some nice horse winning on the World Cup night.
And it's good to get a big race under your belts at fairly early doors.
Yeah, exactly. It's always great to win some great race, and then especially there in Dubai, different.
Many congratulations.
Thank you.
And now, and our Sepsa Mile, which is a handicap. Over 1,600 metres, 100 to 110, and 120,000 dirhams is up for grabs. Number 1 is achieved. Big chance here. Christoph Soumillon, Mike de Kock, short squeeze. James Doyle, Hugo Palmer. Flying the flag, Johnny Garudis, Mike de Kock, Nola Hay, Dane O'Neill on board from Saba. Professor, the Mount of Sheen Murphy for Michael Atwater. Royston French on Mafar. Ali Rashid Al-Rahi. Music Theory, another one with a big chance. William Bick, Charlie Appleby. Our Channel goes for Sylvester de Souza. William Haggis, Samurai Sword, Adre Debris, Ahmed bin Harmash. Slumdog Millionaire, Pat Dobbs, Doug Watson. Eugene, Shane Foley, Mick Shannon. Royal Ridge won this a couple of years ago for Paul Hannigan. Avon Pearl, Sam Hitchcock, Rune Horgan. Captain Lars, Richie Mullen, Mike de Kock. Magic City, Richard Hughes, Richard Hannon. And Van Rooney, Cam Hardy on board for Ali Jan. Well, I think this is a very open affair again, but Ajib went into plenty of notebooks when running a great race over an inadequate 1,000 metres last time. That was behind Toto. He's had a nice break since then. I think he's going to be bang there this evening for our interviewee, Christoph Soumillon. As I said, had all the hallmarks of a pipe opener last time. He's never actually won over this trip. There is Masaba Al-Maheri. As we look at Short Squeeze, who went through the stalls earlier on this week, had a spot of bother there last time when finishing behind Safety Check. He's better than he showed on this occasion. But he's drawn in 13, Mark. That'll be tricky for James Doyle, won't it, on this turf course?
Especially over a mile, yeah. You have to tack over quite quick, or either go forward or take back, or else risk being caught wide. So just be interested to see where he sits.
This is Flying the Flag. He's a beautifully bred sort out of the multiple Group 1 winner, Halfway to Heaven. We haven't seen him yet in the UAE, but he's been with Mike de Kock for some time. He ran twice with Mike in the UK without covering himself in glory either time, but I think there's something to work with there. Nola Hay has the visor on for the first time, and this is also his first run for Masaba Al-Maheri. He was formerly with Carlos Lafon Prias over in France. Was thought good enough to take his chance in Group 1. Company around the French Derby behind the Grey Gatsby. Professor was a non-runner last time and been here since right the start of the carnival. Michael Atwater trains him now. He used to be with Richard Hannon. All of his wins have come over 1,200 metres or 1,400 metres. I think he's probably best watched on this occasion for all the yards horses have been running well. Mafar, I don't think really goes on dirt, so they haven't had much choice than to revert to the turf with him. He's a lovely horse. He ran in this race last year, finishing 13th. He's lower in the handicap now, but I think he's a fragile sort and his best days are probably behind him. Music Theory ran a good race last time behind Safety Check, who's come out and won since. He's having his second try at a mile. Was well beaten over it on the first occasion, but that's no reason to put you off tonight, and he's got a good chance of going and get a couple of spots better than last time. Our Channel is a lovely sort of horse. He's got a good draw today from which to lead, which is where he seemed to best effect. Steps down in trip, having contested 1,800 metres last time behind Umgio. I think that will suit him, for all that he's a horse who stays well, and Sylvester de Souza gets on very well with him. Samurai Sword goes for Ahmed bin Harmash here. He ran all right on the dirt last time behind Tamakas. They've opted to revert to the turf here. He has won a couple of starts on the turf, but he was particularly effective on the all-weather, picking up a race over 2,000 metres in January of last year. Slumdog Millionaire, Pat Dobbs on board for Doug Watson. He was a bit disappointing last time, finishing behind Belgian Bill. Hopefully he'll strip a lot fitter for that run. He's a Grade 1 winner on turf in South Africa. 11 Wee Jean, she makes a quick reappearance, having run well enough in the Cape Verde last time. Her last win came in May off a mark of 88. That was at Goodwood. She's a fair bit on her plate here, I think, up against the Colts, but she's a nice front-running sort. And your friend Shane Foley rides Wee Jean here. Picked up a nice spare ride. I do like her as a filly, but I think this could be a tough assignment.
Yeah, he hasn't said anything about it now, so I couldn't tell you much about the horse, to be quite honest.
Yes, highly tried in Patton Company, a good fifth in Group 1 Class 2 starts ago. This is Royal Ridge. I like this fellow. I thought a 12 to 1 who's worth an each way shout. He won this in 2013 off a mark of 105. He's a pound lower here, and Mike de Kock said he can't fault his work. Well, this fellow's stablemate quarterback ran a good race earlier on for Roon Horgan. He's £2 higher than his course and distance win, and when Pat Dobbs rode him. He's also fourth in this race in 2014, and he's won a Group 3 before. So I think he might need the run, but I think it's 22 to 1. Avon Pearl is worth a second look. This fellow should be well there for Richie Mullen. Captain Lars ran a good race last time when needing it very badly. Finished, I thought, ran better than the finishing position suggests. Beaten 4.5 lengths back in 13 behind Belgian Bill. Frankie Dettori was originally jocked up on this horse, not quite sure why. I don't know if he was ever actually going to race here. But anyway, Captain Lars should not be discounted. Neither should Van Rooney. Yarder in good form. I haven't seen him since last year's Bergenhard, though. I don't think that was the plan, to give him this much time off. So perhaps best watched on at this occasion. Van Rooney, I mean, it's wide open, Mark. Is there anything that sort of jumps off the page?
It's wide open
for you?
There's nothing really that would...
So Mufar goes in. And here's Short Squeeze coming up. Widely drawn, this time with the blanket and wearing a hood for the first time tonight to go along with the cheek pieces. And Avon Pearl goes in. So they're just about ready. Starters ready, to signal given behind. Whoa, whoa, whoa is one call. Gates are back, racing, and Short Squeeze missed it a length and a half. Captain Lars, one of the first away. Slumdog Millionaire, Royal Ridge, Ajib, and Our Channel began quickly. Music Theory just behind the pace, but deep, so is Move Far. Professor going up behind the speed, followed by Magic City on the inside of Nalohe. And then came a little further back on the outside, Wee Jean, Light Colours and Black Cap. A length to Avon Pearl on the outside of Samurai Sword. Flying the Flag settles third last. Short Squeeze went to the fences second last, and Avon Pearl whipped them in as they make the run to the back bend. Mufar has pressed on and showed the way, leaving the back by 3 parts of a length. The Slumdog Millionaire, who's claimed the rail. Music Theory is a length away third, a half to Captain Lars, and Nolohe is travelling 3 deep on the outside. 3 parts of a length to Royal Ridge, then Our Channel, a G Professor. Wee Jean, Magic City, Samurai Sword, Avon Pearl, Flying the Flag. Short Squeeze is a long way back as they come around the turn, and well back too as they head for home is Van Rooney. They're in the straight now with 350 metres left to go, and out deep Nalohe has sprinted up with Music Theory in the centre. The sack tackle Slumdog Millionaire, then a Jeep, Royal Ridge, Samurai Sword, and Short Squeeze is bursting through. Samurai Sword out wide. Short Squeeze coming fast on the inside. Samurai Sword in front of Short Squeeze, and Samurai Sword's won. Samurai Sword has beaten Short Squeeze. Slumdog Millionaires run third. Then Magic City and Flying the Flag out wide. Music Theory, Nalohe, Avon Pearl, Professor Van Rooney, Wee Jean, followed by Ajib, and then Our Channel, Royal Ridge, Mufar well back, and Captain Lars, one of the last to pull up. Samurai Sword, Audrey de Vries.